What happens when a beloved morning show host comes face to face with royal entitlement gone completely off the rails? It only took 31 seconds for Prince Harry to completely destroy his reputation on live television with one shocking outburst that left viewers absolutely stunned. The This Morning studio felt different that Tuesday morning. Allison Hammond had welcomed thousands of guests over her years of broadcasting, but something about this particular interview felt charged from the very beginning. Prince Harry sat across from her, fidgeting with his jacket sleeve, his jaw already set in a way that suggested this conversation might not go as planned. "Good morning, Harry, and thank you so much for joining us today," Allison began with her trademark warm smile, her voice carrying that genuine enthusiasm that had made her a household name. "I know our viewers are absolutely thrilled to hear about your latest charity work." Harry shifted in his chair, his eyes narrowing slightly. "Well, Allison, I suppose that depends on whether you actually want to talk about charity work or if you're planning to ambush me like every other presenter seems to do these days." The comment hit like a slap. Allison's smile faltered for just a moment before she recovered with the grace of a seasoned professional. "I can assure you, this is a safe space. We're here to talk about the things that matter to you." "Safe space?" Harry let out a bitter laugh. "Do you have any idea what it's like being hounded by people like you every single day? Do you know what it feels like to have your every word twisted and manipulated?" Allison leaned forward, her voice remaining calm and measured despite the unexpected hostility. "I completely understand that media attention can be overwhelming, Harry, but our viewers genuinely care about the causes you support. Perhaps we could start with the children's mental health initiative you've been working on?" "Oh, how convenient," Harry snapped, his voice rising. "Let's talk about children's mental health while you lot destroy mine on a daily basis. The hypocrisy is absolutely staggering, don't you think?" The studio fell silent, except for the quiet hum of the cameras. Allison's professionalism shone through as she maintained her composure, her hands folded neatly in her lap. "Harry, I think there might be some misunderstanding here. We invited you on the show specifically to give you a platform to discuss the work that's important to you. This isn't about anything else." Harry's face was flushing red now, his finger pointing accusingly across the coffee table. "A platform? You think this is some kind of favor you're doing me? I don't need your platform, Allison. I don't need your fake sympathy or your patronizing questions." "I'm not being patronizing," Allison replied gently, though viewers could see the hurt flickering in her eyes. "I'm trying to have a conversation with you about things that clearly mean a lot to you. If I've said something to upset you, please help me understand what that was." "What upsets me," Harry said, his voice dripping with condescension, "is having to sit here and pretend that people like you actually care about anything other than ratings and gossip. Do you think I'm stupid, Allison? Do you think I can't see right through this whole charade?" The accusation hung in the air like poison. Allison's face showed genuine confusion and hurt. "Harry, I've been doing this job for over a decade. I've built my career on treating every single guest with respect and dignity. I would never use someone's personal struggles for entertainment." "Oh, please," Harry scoffed, rolling his eyes dramatically. "Spare me the sane act. You're all the same. You invite us on, you pretend to care, and then you twist everything we say to fit whatever narrative sells the most papers or gets the most clicks." Allison's voice remained steady, but there was steel beneath the gentleness now. "That's simply not true, and it's not fair to make those assumptions about me or my team. We've prepared questions about your charity work, your upcoming projects, and the positive impact you're trying to make. That's what we're here to discuss." Harry stood up abruptly, his chair scraping against the studio floor. "Positive impact? You want to talk about positive impact? How about the positive impact of not having to deal with people like you anymore?" The cameras kept rolling as Allison watched him pace behind his chair, her expression showing both concern and growing frustration. "Harry, please sit down. Let's try to reset this conversation. I think we've gotten off on the wrong foot somehow." "Wrong foot?" Harry whirled around to face her. "The wrong foot would imply that there was ever a right foot to begin with. This whole thing is a joke, and frankly, so are you." Gasps could be heard from the crew off camera. Allison's mouth fell open slightly, the insult hitting her like a physical blow. "I'm sorry, what did you just say?" "You heard me perfectly well," Harry said, his voice cold and cruel. "I said you're a joke. This show is a joke. This whole pretense of caring about real issues while you parasites feed off people's pain is disgusting." Allison stood up slowly, her hands trembling slightly, but her voice remaining remarkably calm. "Harry, I need you to stop right there. You're being incredibly disrespectful, not just to me, but to everyone who works on this show and everyone who watches it." "Disrespectful?" Harry laughed harshly. You want to talk about disrespectful? How about the disrespect of pretending this is journalism when it's nothing but vulture behavior? How about the disrespect of thinking you have the right to profit off my family's tragedy? We haven't mentioned your family once, Allison pointed out, her voice growing firmer. You're the one who brought that up. We're here to talk about your charity work, remember? The work you said you wanted to promote? Harry's face twisted with rage. Don't you dare lecture me about what I said or didn't say. You people are all the same. You think you can control the narrative, control what I'm allowed to talk about, control how I'm supposed to feel about being exploited by your industry. The studio audience, who had been watching in stunned silence, began to murmur among themselves. Allison glanced toward the cameras, clearly aware that this was spiraling completely out of control, but still trying to salvage something from the wreckage. Harry, she said, her voice taking on the tone of someone trying to calm down a volatile situation, I think perhaps we should take a short break. You seem very upset, and maybe some time to collect ourselves would help us both. I don't need to collect myself, Harry snarled. I need to get away from people like you who think they have some God-given right to pick apart my life for your entertainment. Allison took a deep breath, her years of experience kicking in as she tried one more time to bring civility back to the conversation. Harry, I understand you're going through a difficult time, but attacking me personally isn't going to solve anything. Can we please just try to have a respectful conversation? Respectful? Harry's voice cracked with indignation. You want respect? Then maybe you should have shown me some respect instead of bringing me on here under false pretenses. You knew exactly what you were doing when you booked this interview. What false pretenses? Allison asked, genuine bewilderment in her voice. Your publicist contacted us. They said you wanted to discuss your mental health advocacy and your upcoming charity gala. That's exactly what I prepared for. Harry waved his hand dismissively, his face contorted with anger. My publicist, your producers. It's all the same machine, isn't it? You all conspire together to create these little traps, these moments where you can catch us off guard and make us look bad. Harry, that's simply not true, Allison said, her voice firm but still professional. There's no conspiracy here. There's no trap. I have my notes right here. She held up her cards. Every single question is about your charity work and your advocacy. That's it. Oh, how convenient that you have notes, Harry sneered. I'm sure those notes don't mention anything about my personal life, about my family, about all the drama you people love to feast on like vultures. Allison's patience was clearly wearing thin, but she maintained her composure. Harry, for the third time, we haven't asked you about your personal life. You keep bringing it up yourself. We're trying to give you a positive platform here. Positive platform? Harry's laugh was bitter and harsh. There's nothing positive about sitting across from someone who makes a living exploiting people's pain. Do you sleep well at night, Allison? Do you ever think about the damage you cause? The accusation hit hard. Allison's face showed genuine hurt, her voice wavering slightly for the first time. That's completely unfair, Harry. I've spent my entire career trying to bring joy and positivity to people's mornings. I've never exploited anyone's pain. Haven't you? Harry leaned forward aggressively. What about all those interviews where you've cornered guests about their personal struggles? What about all the times you pushed and prodded until you got the emotional reaction you were looking for? I have never cornered anyone, Allison said, her voice growing stronger with conviction. I approach every interview with empathy and respect. If guests choose to share personal stories, that's their choice, not something I force out of them. Harry stood up again, beginning to pace like a caged animal. Choice? You think there's really a choice when you people ambush us with personal questions? When you create this atmosphere where we're expected to bare our souls for your entertainment? Nobody is asking you to bare your soul, Allison said, frustration finally creeping into her voice. We're asking you about charity work, children's mental health, your upcoming gala. These are things your team said you wanted to talk about. My team, Harry spat. My team doesn't understand what it's like to be me. They don't understand what it's like to have every word analyzed and twisted by people like you. Allison shook her head in disbelief. Harry, you're doing this to yourself. I haven't twisted anything you've said. I haven't analyzed anything. I've barely been able to get a word in because you've been attacking me from the moment you sat down. Attacking you? Harry's voice rose to nearly a shout. I'm defending myself against another predatory interview. I'm trying to protect myself from becoming another victim of your manipulative tactics. What manipulative tactics? Allison demanded, her own voice rising now. Asking you about charity work is manipulative? Trying to give you a platform to promote causes you care about is predatory? Harry, you need to listen to yourself right now. Harry pointed an accusatory finger at her. Don't you dare tell me what I need to do. You don't know me. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know anything about the pressure and the scrutiny and the constant judgment. You're absolutely right, Allison said, her voice suddenly calm again. I don't know what it's like to be you, but I do know what it's like to be treated with basic human decency. And right now, you're not showing me any. The words hung in the air like a challenge. Harry's face flushed an even deeper red, his hands clenching into fists at his sides. Basic human decency? That's rich coming from someone who makes money off other people's misery. I don't make money off misery, Allison replied firmly. I make money by entertaining people, by informing them, by giving them a reason to smile in the morning. That's what this show has always been about. Entertaining people by parading damaged celebrities in front of cameras. Harry shot back. By getting them to reveal their most vulnerable moments so your audience can feel better about their own pathetic lives. The insult to the viewers was the final straw. Allison's eyes flashed with anger, her voice taking on a tone of absolute authority. That is enough, Harry. You can attack me all you want, but you will not insult our viewers. These are good people who tune in every morning because they want something positive in their lives. Good people? Harry laughed cruelly. Good people don't enjoy watching other people's pain. Good people don't tune in to see celebrities break down on national television. Your audience are nothing but gossip-hungry voyeurs. Stop it, Allison said sharply. Just stop it right now. You're being cruel and unfair to people who have done nothing to deserve your contempt. Harry stepped closer to her, his voice dropping to a menacing whisper. The truth is cruel, Allison. The truth is that you and your viewers are parasites who feed off human suffering. And the truth is that I'm sick of pretending otherwise. Allison stood her ground, despite Harry looming over her. The only suffering happening here is what you're creating right now. You're hurting yourself, you're hurting me, and you're hurting everyone watching this. I'm hurting you? Harry's voice dripped with sarcasm. Poor little Allison, getting a taste of what it feels like to be on the receiving end of someone's anger. How does it feel to be the target for once, instead of the one doing the targeting? I've never targeted anyone in my life, Allison said, her voice shaking with emotion. And I certainly haven't targeted you. I invited you here as a friend, as someone I respected and wanted to support. Respected? Harry scoffed. You don't respect me. You see me as content. You see me as a story to tell, a headline to chase, a rating to boost. That's all any of you see when you look at people like me. Allison's voice trembled with barely controlled emotion as she faced Harry's continued assault. You know what, Harry? You're wrong. When I look at you, I see someone who has the power to make a real difference in the world. Someone who could use their platform to help people, but instead, you're choosing to tear down everyone around you. My platform? Harry's face contorted with rage. You think this pathetic morning show is doing me some kind of favor? You think I need your little platform to reach people? I could buy and sell this entire network without even noticing the money leave my account. The studio fell completely silent. Even the camera operator seemed stunned by the naked arrogance of the statement. Allison blinked in disbelief, her mouth slightly open. Did you just say you could buy and sell this network? You heard me perfectly well, Harry said, his voice dripping with superiority. I have more money than you'll see in 10 lifetimes. I have more influence than you could ever dream of. So don't sit there and pretend you're doing me some great service by having me on your little show. Allison's shock was giving way to something much stronger. Her voice took on a steely quality that viewers had never heard before. Harry, I think you need to remember where you are right now. This is a place where we treat people with respect, regardless of how much money they have. Respect? Harry laughed harshly. You want to talk about respect? How about showing some respect for your betters? How about remembering that you're talking to someone who was born into greatness while you're just another television presenter who got lucky? The words hit like a physical blow. Allison's face went pale, her hands clenched at her sides. Born into greatness? Is that really what you think gives you the right to treat people like garbage? It gives me the right to expect better than this amateur hour nonsense, Harry snarled. Do you have any idea who I am? Do you understand the level of person you're dealing with here? I know exactly who you are, Allison replied, her voice growing stronger with each word. You're someone who's forgotten how to treat other human beings with basic decency. You're someone who thinks their birth circumstances give them permission to be cruel. Harry stepped even closer, his voice becoming threatening. Be very careful about how you speak to me, Allison. I'm not one of your usual D-list celebrity guests who needs this appearance. I could destroy your career with a single phone call." The threat hung in the air like poison. Allison stared at him for a long moment, something shifting in her expression. When she spoke again, her voice was completely calm. "Are you threatening me, Harry?" "I'm telling you the reality of your situation," Harry said coldly. "You're nothing. This show is nothing. And if you keep pushing me, I'll make sure everyone knows exactly how pathetic and irrelevant you really are." That was the breaking point. Allison stood up to her full height, her voice ringing with authority and dignity. "That's it. This interview is over. You need to leave. Now." Harry's eyes widened in shock. "Excuse me? Did you just tell me to leave?" "Yes, I did," Allison said firmly. "Your behavior has been completely unacceptable. You've been hostile. You've been cruel. You've insulted our viewers. And now you're making threats. This ends right now." "You cannot dismiss me," Harry said, his voice rising to a near shriek. "Do you have any idea what you're doing? Do you know what kind of consequences this will have for you and your pathetic little show?" "The only consequences I'm worried about," Allison replied with remarkable composure, "are what would happen if I let you continue treating people this way on live television." "Security." Harry's face went through a range of expressions, from shock to rage to something approaching panic. "Security? You're calling security on me? Have you completely lost your mind?" Two security guards appeared at the edge of the studio, moving calmly but purposefully toward the interview area. Allison never took her eyes off Harry as she spoke to them. "Please escort our guests from the building. This interview is terminated." "This is insane," Harry shouted, his voice cracking with disbelief. "You cannot treat me like this. I'm not some random troublemaker you can just throw out. I have rights. I have status. I have power." "What you have," Allison said quietly, "is a serious attitude problem that I will not tolerate on my show. You've had multiple opportunities to behave like a decent human being, and you've chosen not to take any of them." The security guards reached Harry's position, speaking to him in low, professional tones. Harry turned on them with the same fury he'd been directing at Allison. "Don't you dare put your hands on me. Do you know who I am? Do you have any idea what you're dealing with?" "Sir, we need you to come with us," one of the guards said calmly. "This can be easy or it can be difficult, but you are leaving the building." Harry looked around wildly, as if suddenly realizing that his tantrum had real consequences. "This is a mistake. This is a huge mistake. Allison, you have no idea what you've just done. You have no idea who you're messing with." "I know exactly who I'm dealing with," Allison replied, her voice steady despite the chaos. "I'm dealing with someone who thinks their title gives them permission to abuse people, someone who's forgotten that respect is earned, not inherited." "You'll regret this," Harry said, his voice becoming desperate as the security guards began to escort him toward the exit. "You'll regret this for the rest of your miserable career. I'll make sure of it." Allison watched him being led away, her expression showing both sadness and relief. "The only thing I regret," she called after him, "is that it took me this long to stand up to you." Harry's final words echoed across the studio as he was escorted out. "This isn't over, Allison. This isn't over by a long shot." The studio doors closed behind him with a definitive thud. Allison stood alone on the set, her chest rising and falling as the adrenaline began to fade. She turned to face the cameras, her professional composure returning as she addressed the viewers directly. "Well," she said with a shaky smile, "that certainly wasn't how we planned to spend our morning. Sometimes in television, things don't go according to plan, and we have to make difficult decisions about what kind of behavior we're willing to accept." She paused, collecting herself before continuing. "This show has always been about bringing positivity and joy into your mornings. It's about treating every guest, every viewer, and every member of our team with respect and kindness. That's not negotiable." The camera held on her face as she took a deep breath. "When someone comes into our studio and chooses to be cruel, to make threats, and to treat people badly, they're not welcome here anymore, no matter who they are." Behind the cameras, the crew began to applaud. Slowly, the studio audience joined in, their clapping growing louder and more enthusiastic. Allison's eyes filled with tears as she realized the overwhelming support from everyone around her. "Thank you," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "Thank you for reminding me that standing up for what's right is always worth it, even when it's scary."